Hi, my name's Justin from Whispering Hope Ranch Ministries. Welcome into another video. Today, we got a smelly job to do. Behind me, hopefully you can see the tractor in the pasture and also the manure spreader. And that's what we're doing, is we're spreading the smelly stuff. So let me show you what I got going on here. We have had a lot of rain, and so it's a soupy looking pasture. And over the winter, it builds up. And then we've got to get it into a pile, and I've been picking away at this for a little bit already, so there's not much of a pile there. All right, here we are. Gonna start getting her filled up. I'm in four-wheel drive, so that's good. I think I'd be fine in two-wheel drive, honestly, because this thing's so heavy. I hope everybody's having a good day today. They're calling for some nice hot weather coming up next week, which I don't love hanging out in the heat, but it's really good for making hay, so I'm pretty excited about that. We had a lot of rain and, quite frankly, some pretty cool weather for summertime anyway. So that is coming up this week. They're calling for upper 90s on some of these days, so pretty hot for Michigan for sure. If you're watching this YouTube channel and you're from a hot climate state, you're probably like, man, these Michigan people sure whine a lot about the heat. But it's true, we do. Unless you're a lake person, and then you're like, bring on the heat, because you can just jump in the lake anytime you want. You know, if you live on a lake property. I don't know if you can see it, but I've been learning this new tractor, new to us. You can see some videos about the tractor getting here. But way down there, there's a hole in the bucket, and it's a reveal hole. I can see the ground, and that's how I can kind of tell like where to tilt my bucket, like how high up if I'm digging, because I don't want to dig, because what we don't want is to dig dirt. We only want the manure, because if we get into the dirt, it's going to give us rocks, and we definitely don't want the rocks on the hayfield. Hurts the equipment, the haybine. So I'm just learning little tricks here and there with this tractor. I don't know if those holes in the bucket are for that, but it's sure been handy because it helps me see the ground, so I know what angle I need to have that bucket at. Some buckets come with what's called a leveling rod that you can see on the loader arms, and it has a notch cut out of it, so that tells you when your bucket is perfectly level on the ground. So when we first got this tractor, I thought, my goodness, this thing's so big. The bucket is so far away from me, it's gonna be really hard to tell to do like fine-tuning stuff, you know, where it matters, like if you're loading and someone's trailer is in play, or there's potential money damage that can happen. And in those instances, I just make sure I have a spotter. I'm not too proud to say I need one. You know, I'll have someone get there and then they give me good instructions, because the last thing I want to do is hurt someone's equipment or our equipment. And I definitely know what it's like to have someone load stuff and they're not nice to your equipment. It's really annoying. So I'm a little sensitive about that. I don't want any damage to happen. And because this pile's getting light and I'm way heavier and bigger than it, it's kind of hard to get a full bucket, because all I do is end up just pushing the whole pile. But this process used to take a lot longer when we had that tractor with the, I remember times where my dad had to do the spreading and the loading all with that tractor. So every single load, he'd have to unhook the manure spreader, drive the tractor into the pasture, load it, go back out, rehook it back up, every single load. And that really took some time. So we are so grateful to have this new tool. Really speeds things along. Just its size alone and being four-wheel drive. I mean, to date, the ranch has never owned a four-wheel drive tractor. This is the first one, which is Pretty surprising considering we live in a winter snow climate. But I tell you what, a good farm tractor that's heavy with loaded tires, which means there's fluid in them, though that tractor has loaded tires. Most farm tractors do that are real farm tractors. I'm not talking about your little hobby tractor, you know, the little things that you can buy that have loaders on them. I'm talking real farm tractors. Loaded tires, tire chains, you can get around pretty good in two-wheel drive. I mean, we've been doing it for over 20 years. Plowing snow, doing all of it in two-wheel drive. So it is possible, but it just makes everything take longer. I'm gonna try to flip this bucket and back pull this away from this fence. I keep getting pushed. I keep getting closer and closer to this fence. Okay. We're just about full. I'm gonna try to catch just this right-hand side of my bucket. I want some product, some manure in just that, because that's the side of the manure spreader that's low. It's just how we ended up going in. So we'll see how I did. You can see the mound is in the middle, and I've got dead spots on each side of the mound. So I'm gonna try to fill those in just by catching manure in the one side of the bucket. See how I do on that. And I mostly had it in the middle. It's filling it a little bit there. I'll try to push this forward a little bit, fill it in. Strong potential for making a big mess if you get greedy. And by greedy, I mean trying to put more than what really fits in there, instead of just making another trip. And you can see I've got some mess floating around out there, so I've been greedy a couple times. It's hard not to, because you're like, I think I can fit it just a little bit more. And then spill. So we'll see how we're doing out here. I only have a little bit more, so man, it's tempting. If I could get it more on the tongue, more in the front, then I think I'd be good. Just pulling this back to see how much more I can get scraped out of here. Keeping an eye on behind me all the time, because there's horses in this pasture, and sometimes they don't decide to stay put. So last thing I want is a horse injury because I ran somebody over. See, again, I don't know if you can see it, but there's that hole in the bucket, and I'm seeing the ground through that hole. It's a little hole, but you can still see the ground, and that's how I'm gauging where to put this bucket. You can see my scrape mark, how it just kind of skipped and floated on top of the ground. And that's all because of that hole, that I can see the ground before I start moving forward. Okay, this is probably a greedy scoop, so you're about to see if I make a big mess or if we're good to go. Here we go, here we go. Come on, there we go. I want it to fill in right where it's doing. I want it to kind of get to the tongue, if it can. Little bit greedy. We got her mounted up there. Alright, I'm gonna have to go get one more. Could probably manage to get one more scoop here. Alright, this next part is going to be loud, so I won't be talking, we'll just be spreading. Because it doesn't have a nice, quiet, enclosed cab like this one. This one's kind of loud. So here we go. I'll be back in a minute after the noise is over with. pretty good about the progress in this pasture. Now, it might look horrible to you. You might be looking at all this and go, wow, it looks like it's still really dirty. Mostly that's mud from, we've just gotten so much rain. Oh, there's Kate coming in on the golf cart. It's one of my daughters doing her chores. All my kids have their own little jobs they do. Maybe I can honk at her and she can let me out of the gate. That'd be perfect. And then I wouldn't have to get out. Yay, I don't have to get out of the tractor. Good hustle too. Perfect timing, Kate. All right, let me spend a few minutes in here. I've been curious. This bucket is 8 foot wide. This does not look 8 foot to me. This looks like less than 8, so my perfect wish list, I was hoping I'd fit, and I'm not even gonna get close to fitting between there. That's a bummer. So, we will have to get another tool for cleaning that lean-to out. I'm glad the horn works on this thing. Not much here. Let's see if we can kind of make us a jumbo pile. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then I might see if I can scrape a little in front of the lean-to here, see how much poop's hiding in there. Sometimes it's more than you think. Fortunately, there's no horses in this pasture. They're all in the back 40. And I quite literally mean back 40. I mean, it's not 40 acres exactly, but it's not fun to walk to go get them, I'll tell you that much. We usually drive a vehicle back there and then walk, get close, and then walk the rest of the way in. There's some poop hiding in there. Not much. Our good friend Brian came with his skid steer earlier this spring and took a cleanup of these pastures and scraped them a little bit, so we're not in too bad a shape. I like back pulling. I think you can get more done if you push, but the risk of digging into some dirt is pretty high. And I think I might have to. I see a lot of poop still built up. Where I'm back pulling, it's just more subtle. It's not as aggressive of a scrape. And also, I'm losing traction because I got the front. It's picking the front tires right up off the ground. So we're going to swing around and see if we can plow slowly. Hopefully I don't dig in too hard. Whew, I think it's time to shed this sweatshirt. Turn the AC on another notch. The AC. It's just still weird that we have AC. Alright, I'm gonna get as close to this fence as I can. There's my sight hole. There we go. Let's see what we get here. Did I get any rocks is the question. Sometimes I don't even know until I turn around and look at where I've been plowing. Like I said, this thing's big. It's hard to see. It takes a lot of getting used to, which I'm definitely not there yet. I'm well on my way. The controls feel really natural to me. You know, it's not I'm getting better at it. I mean, there's just always still room to grow. Like, I just picked it up too much right there. But we just don't want dirt. And there's a fine line between that last layer of manure and dirt. And they're mixed in, of course, so you're gonna scrape a little dirt. You just don't want to dig. Up here we have rocks like you wouldn't believe. You should see the rock piles we have from when we plow fields. It's incredible. Just incredible how much rocks this fields can produce. Get along this lean-to a little bit better. How close can I get without damaging something? Pretty close. A lot of slow moving back and forth because I'm slow at it. I tell you, it might not look like much, but if I could put a camera on my hands and my feet, and maybe the camera's doing an okay job picking it up, but there's just a lot of input that happens when you run equipment. And the better your equipment is, which this tractor is fantastic. Like, we just replaced this loader control joystick, and so now it is man, it's accurate. You know, the hydraulics feel tight, and you really feel like you're connected to that bucket up there. But the more accurate your hydraulics are, the less actual movement it takes to get something to happen up front there. So it's pretty incredible. It might not look like I'm doing much, but there's always something I'm doing. This is turning into a lot bigger pile than I thought it was going to be. This manure in front of this lean-to is pretty heavy. Go glad I plowed it because it was thick. You know, if we get a little dirt, it's not the end of the world. We just try hard not to. Rocks are the big thing. I don't care if I have dirt per se on the field. It's just the rocks, because it hurts the disc spine blades and the hay rake and the round baler. You know, all the stuff that has to touch that field. Rocks just make it hard on it. All right, I'm feeling pretty happy. There's some right there I'm seeing right there that I'd like to see if I can get scraped one more pass maybe, and then I'm gonna have to move on and get to spreading it. So we'll see what happens here. Nope, missed it. Let me back up and take another stab instead of wasting a whole pass. Especially since it's just for one little area that I need. I'm gonna have to dig on it pretty hard. This could be my rock right here. I'm floating this clutch a little bit down here because I'm in 6. I could gear down, but I only want a momentary slow down. I don't want to, like now that I'm kind of past the finesse area, I'm gonna let that clutch out. And I'm in the gear I want to be in. It's just sometimes you only need a momentary, quick little slowdown. All right, I'm gonna go get that other tractor, get it in position, and then we will get filling up. No horses in here. And then because I don't trust them, because they're all a bunch of stinkers, I'm gonna shut this gate, which is potentially where they might come back and visit me. They are way, see them? I don't know if you can see them way off in the distance. But if I'm out spreading a load of manure and they decide to come up here and the gate's open, I'm gonna have a jailbreak on my hands. And that will not be fun to deal with. Also, I don't have time to deal with a jailbreak today. Not that I get to decide these things. So we're gonna shut these guys off while I'm doing this. This will save me some time to have that manure spreader closer to the pile. We'll give that a try. See how I like it. And because I'm loading in a pasture, I can be greedy. Because if it spills, it's just in the pasture. So maybe I can get some max loads out of this buddy. Click my heels off. Best I can. Dad, if you're watching, I tried. Okay? I'm trying, okay? If it smells bad in here, then I'll have to clean it out. So I will say probably right now as it stands, my dad probably spends more time in here than I do. And that'll probably change because this is going to be a main tractor we use all winter long too for plowing snow and moving round bales and hay out, you know, just farming operations. Ooh, I parked poorly. Let's see if I can make it work without getting out. Oh, Julie's here. She's gonna have herself a big walk to go get Dallas. I might move that tractor back. Well, maybe I won't. It's only gonna be 3 loads, 3 dumps, I mean, 3 scoops. Again, I'm floating the clutch a little because I kind of have to pick it up. I need to drive forward slowly as I start to rotate this bucket to scoop it up for maximum capacity. Julie keeps her horse here. Dallas, you've all met Dallas. He's been on camera. We've worked him. That's Julie's horse. Julie's baby. And she's getting her steps in today because that's a hike back there. I'm telling you, if you saw on camera where they were, they probably looked like dots. And that horse, large animal, okay? And it looked like a dot. Gives you any indication of like how far away those horses are actually from where I am right now, and Julie now. Got a good heavy right side bucket load on that one. Definitely going to be able to get some bigger loads out of this than when I was loading from across the fence line. See, now when she goes and gets Dallas, there's a chance that in her doing so, all the horses might decide they need to come up with Dallas for some water or fly relief. Sometimes the flies are a little bit better out here than in the back 40 there. So just for reference, I don't think it's 40 acres. I think it's probably that fenced in area they're in back there is probably 20 to maybe 20 acres, I'd probably say. So I just like calling it the back 40 because it's just a good reference point. It's not literally 40 acres, but it's a good amount of acres for sure. Let's get the last little bit out. I think we'll call that good for this load. Okay, on to the spread. And this is how we do it, back and forth. I'm gonna park that backwards a little bit next time though, so I can load it a little bit better. Definitely kind of tongue heavy. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. As you can see behind me here, the pasture still looks a little sloppy because it's been raining a lot. But we definitely made a good dent in it. You can see, hopefully you can see all that. No more mounds of manure. Same in this one, we got rid of them and we spread them on our fields. That should help the hay a little bit. And so yeah. So far, mission accomplished. It does smell a little bit around here. It's going to take a minute for that to chill out in the air a little bit. And it's pretty humid today, so hopefully when we get some drier weather, it's gonna help it dry out some and make that smell go down a little bit too. So anyway, I'm Justin from Whispering Hope Ranch, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.